Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So 6 Capitol Police officers have been suspended with pay, and an additional 35 officers are under investigation by the Office of Professional Responsibility for their actions on January 6th. Now, as you're going to hear, it's insane that some are suspended with pay. Why they're still getting paid through this, I don't know. And why they haven't been fired is also a mystery. As you all probably know by now, there were disturbing videos that circulated online showing one officer wearing a MAGA hat while all of this was going down, another who was standing talking with the terrorists and taking a selfie with them. Others stood by a doorway and literally did nothing as people were streaming into the building. Well, now more information about various officers' complicit behavior is coming to light because the terrorists are now throwing them under the Trump train to save their own sorry asses. So here are some of the new details that were just published in a Fox News article. And yes, that Fox News, their online reporting, I have to say, is far more honest and unbiased than their on-air opinion BS. And if you have time, I highly recommend that you listen to the podcast posted by this Fox News reporter, Lindsay Watts. It's titled Siege on Democracy. Watts and a photojournalist named Van Applegate were at the Capitol on January 6th, and they give a full accounting of what took place, how they were physically and verbally assaulted by Trump supporters. Applegate, who's been in the business for decades, explained how he felt more fear at the Capitol on January 6th than when he was filming in war zones in the Middle East. I mean, just unbelievable. They also she interviewed others about their experiences that day, and they talked about the fear that they felt, the threats of violence and homophobic slurs that were hurled at them, and how Trump supporters literally spit on one of them. Because, when Trump sends his people, he's not sending his best. They're racists, they're homophobes, they're criminals, and some, I assume, are good people. But I digress. So here's the deal and the new details that have come out. When questioned by the FBI, at least 2 of these terrorists told them that a Capitol police officer told them, quote, "It's your house now." Seriously? That guy's not fired? Really? He's not fired. He's still getting paid. He's basically getting a vacation. Also, the cop that was wearing the MAGA hat apparently asked 2 of the terrorists to help him maneuver through the crowd so he could go help other officers inside the Capitol. Then he handed his megaphone to one of them and said, quote, "I'll follow you." In addition, in the podcast I just mentioned, Watts explains that as she approached the Capitol doors, she saw an officer helping one of the terrorists out of the building after being pepper sprayed. And she said she was shocked to see this, considering that these people were just committing a crime. They literally just broke into the Capitol and violated the law. But she said that ended up being one of the least concerning things she witnessed that day. And my thought, of course, was, can you imagine that happening at a Black Lives Matter protest? Seriously? I was listening to a podcast the other day with this guy who studies and interviews extremist groups. And he was talking about how he would attend a lot of these BLM events, and the police would just regularly tear gas and shoot the protesters with pepper balls and flashbang grenades. He got hit with pepper balls as a member of the press. I mean, just randomly. They weren't doing anything. So this was even when attendees were completely peaceful. I don't remember seeing cops assisting BLM protesters who had just been tear gassed. What I remember seeing is cops shoving Martin Gugino and knocking him backwards so that he cracked his head open and was bleeding from his skull. I remember seeing cops hitting peaceful BLM protesters with their cars, driving through a crowd of people, shooting them with pepper spray as they drove by for no reason, including children who got hit. Basically, the takeaway is if you're white and you're wearing a MAGA hat or you're carrying a Trump flag, you can get away with terrorizing everyone in the US Capitol. But if you're Black or brown or you support Black and brown people, you're treated like a terrorist. But, please do tell me again how racism and white privilege don't exist. All right, as always, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.